and the bottom is the only part that's going to be wobbling around with 3 axes. Can you see the bottom there? You see that I have it marked? 1, 2, and 3. And you can see the center point. Let me get this. I use one of these. It's called an apprentice safety drive. 5/8 inch. It's very convenient, and it holds the pieces when you have it at a little bit of an angle. It holds the pieces very well. You can see where it fits in there, in the center. See that pretty well? Yeah. And it works very well when you go to 1, 2, or 3 of the other axis points that you're going to use. The only axis point that's going to move is on your drive side. Ours are a little bit bigger, but you can use them. It's not a problem. I like this one because very conveniently you use a 1/4 inch spacing from the center to do your offsets. You see that okay?
Yeah, we're good.
And this is very nicely at 5/16, which is close enough to a 1/4 inch for me. So it's just a little bit bigger, but I recommend not more than a 1/4 inch from your center point. Otherwise, the slashes that you do with the skew are going to be a little too deep, and you might go through the wood, and you'll end up with a broken piece of project. And a lot of times, do as I say, not as I do.
Like a true professional.
Put that away. But this is, I'm going to demonstrate how you get this, but this is, I took these home to paint them, but I understand now that we can use the water-based acrylic here to do that. But I took them home anyway, so they could take the time to fill in each of the slashes, and I'll show you how to do that. First part of it is a little bit boring because you're just going to watch me taper a piece of wood.
Can we, are those the ones we can pass?
Yes, you can pass these around.
Can somebody grab and start those around?
And here's what the bottom looks like. The other one doesn't have one, so I won't pass that around. But you can take a look and see, and I'll want that back at the end so I can show you how to finish it up. Pass it around. But I use found wood. This came from our wood emporium next door, known as the mulching center, whatever you want to call it. This is a couple of pieces, and I have a bag if somebody would like a sample or two. This is wax myrtle. It's a little bit moist, so I usually cut it to length, cover it with some that tree saver stuff, kind of light green, and let it sit for maybe a month or a couple of weeks or whatever. But it still turns fairly green. You'll get a lot of nice spirals from the green wood. But I have some in the bag if anybody would like to try a little bit of it. I have this one initially marked. You see the lines okay? What I'm going to do is divide it into 120 degrees, so I have that already marked so you guys can see that. But there's my one center point. I kind of started this one. I get a little anxious, but I saved it as my demo piece, so you wouldn't have to watch the whole thing. And it squishes up fairly nicely. But this is going to be on center. This is the easy part. And I usually start them out even though it's on center. Since I'm going to be doing multi-axis, I try to get myself into a little bit of a habit of making sure I have nice clearance on everything. And I usually start it at a slower speed. A lot of times when you have something that's wobbling around, you'll kind of want to start it out a little bit slower to make sure your drive shaft's going to stay engaged. Because the last thing you want is somebody to get whacked with it moving around. Very quickly, we're going to use a skew. The first thing I do is kind of space it off. It's one of your sharper tools in your tool bag, I hope. But you can see how it's going to sort of look. This is going to be the base right here. I always put a tenon on there because you're going to need a tenon so that you can later finish the end. This part's going to come off. Right? So that's it about right there. So what we're going to do is taper this piece and then put it off center and put the slashes in. And I'll show you how to do that. We'll cheat a little bit.
Hold on for a second. Let's move this out a little bit so I can get behind you. Just this way. A little more. Okay.
Good.
This way I can get in here.
That's
get
fine.
A better angle. Good enough. Thank you.
This is a skew. How many people even own skews? How many people use them ever? Very good.
I sold 2 skews today.
Did
now.
you?
Yeah.
You sold them? Okay,
Yeah.
well, good deal. I would recommend, I noticed they were a smaller skew. If you're interested in buying a skew, and we may do this sometime in the future, but I got to practice up for you, to show you all these. But this is the flat blade here. They also make a radius, slightly radius. It's sometimes easier to use, a lot of people think. They also make one that's flat across the top with a radius only on the heel. Heel and toe is what we usually call it. So first thing I usually do is mark off my piece of wood. I use the skew to mark it off. These are just relief or V cuts. It's a fairly easy cut. You engage the tool and all you do is raise it up. And then you take a very slight angle, either left or right, and cut the other side. And it's a good idea, if you haven't done these before, is to practice a few. So I'll show you a couple on what's going to be removed anyway. Make sure it turns good. Looks like a nice height. It does. Nice and snug. The speed is your discretion. I usually use around 1,000, 1,200, something like that. Not much of a speed demon. This is going to bounce around a little bit, but the first initial cut, all you're going to be doing is raising the back or handle of the skew. And then off to the right a little bit, and then the other side. Other side, other side, other side. And that's basically your V cut. That's all you're going to be doing with these little Christmas trees once you get the taper and off center. It's going to bounce around a little bit, but that's the basic cut that you're going to be using.
You gonna do another one?
I'll certainly do. I will do as many as you wish. All right. Tools. Some people like, you can use the heel, but I recommend that you use the toe, because a lot of times when you're rotating the tool back and forth like this, you can't see what the heel is cutting because visibility is cut down with the toe sticking up in your way. So I would recommend using the toe, the long point, some people call it. Another one. Okay, do I get the idea? Skew. Very nice tool to use. Good tool to have in your toolbox. Don't want me waving too many tools around at you, because I don't want to. That's sharp. As if you didn't already know.
You're good.
Okay, but let me see. I forgot where I'm going now here. Okay, this is going to be my base. This is going to be my trunk, and I'm going to taper this for the tree. That look good?
What are you using there?
This is just your ordinary spindle roughing gouge. Takes off a lot of material, so that's what I'm going to use. Mine has what they call a continental cut. It's not square across the top. It came that way, but I also ground it a little bit more that way. I have gotten in trouble with that before, using it incorrectly. I was scolded by my production manager. This is going to come over there. You okay?
I turned before. Talk about riding the bevel there. Okay, talk about riding the bevel a little bit.
Am I riding the bevel?
Yeah, you were, yeah. You got a bevel there, yeah.
Yeah, you can ride the bevel a little bit, but sometimes with these blocks of wood, tree stumps, you're not always going to be on the bevel, so do the best you can. But I am riding the bevel a little bit. Keep it fairly safe. As you can see it rattling around a little bit because it is a piece of tree limb, not all that stable. Pretty good. Okay, I want to leave a little cap, kind of like that at the top. Give it a little bit of strength when it's wobbling around. I'm going to do another V cut right here that I can work up to. Okay?
Yep.
Okay. Pretty good. I'm going to leave the trunk. This is going to be the trunk, but I'm going to leave it a little bit thick because what you can do is later when you're finished turning, finished painting, you come back and put it on the lathe on center again, and then you can go ahead and make it a little bit thinner. It gets too thin, may vibrate, sing to you, or maybe even break off. I'm going to take it down a little bit more, but not much.
So now you're using what?
This is just your standard spindle gouge. Kind of a detail gouge. That's probably good enough because we'll come back to that. Okay, just to make sure, because it has been a while since I did my tenon, I'm going to just freshen that up a little bit. And this is a Bedan tool. I use a Barracuda chuck, but if you're doing tenons, make sure you make the tenon so that it'll fit your chuck. This is the straight Barracuda chuck. If you're using the Vic marks, make sure you make the dovetail.
Show me the Bedan. Show me the Bedan.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure they can see it. That's all.
That's a Bedan tool. It's pretty good for doing this. I could also do it with a spindle gouge. I just wanted to freshen this up a little bit because it did get dried. One thing you want to make sure, I would say at least a 2-inch piece of wood to start with so that your tenon doesn't get too small for the chuck that you're going to use. Okay, that's your basic tree tapered.
All those defects you did earlier was just to show us how you...
Just to show you the technique. It's going to be a little bit more difficult to show you when it's wobbling, because I'm not going to be able to talk. I got to concentrate. I can't chew gum and do this at the same time. But I left a little bit of bark on. Your choice. With some of these, you can do that if you like. Some of it may come off. The next thing that we're going to do is mark our little the little slashes. That's your 3/8 spacing. How are we doing on time?
Good.
This is your 1/4 inch spacing here. I'm going to do 1/4 inch. I usually start with red. I use red, green, and black. Now the only thing I would recommend is when you're doing this, don't start too close to the edge down here, or otherwise the first one will probably chip off. Let's do red. Green, and this is a little bit wider spacing. Usually when I'm brave, I'll do them closer. But today, since we have a little bit taller tree, you get to see a little bit better. Who's that in the back? Mm-hmm. And it looks like we're gonna finish up with a green one here. Just do the little lines till you run out of tree. How we doing? Okay, now the important part, easy part. Since I already drew the line on there, you can see where I've got it marked? Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom here, just for you guys. Just a red one. Always color coded. A green one. And the last one, a black one. Well, you see how conveniently using the 5/8 drive spur comes out just about right. That's just a 1/16 or something more than 1/4 of an inch. I wouldn't recommend any more than that, or otherwise the slashes come out fairly deeply.
You must not do much furniture work.
Like that.
5/16, 1/4 inch, what the difference, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I mean. It's close enough, but I would say right around 1/4 of an inch. If you want to try something different, that's up to you. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to start with the red. I'm going to mount it on the red. Can you see that okay? If you want to. The red dot here is going to be mounted on the drive spur.
Yeah, I can't see it from here, but it's good, yeah.
Good? Okay.
I think they got it.
Get this out of the way. Want to make sure that the drive spur is engaged pretty good. Give it a pretty good twist. It's going to be wobbling on you. That look about right? And I usually start slower, just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere funky. About 1,000, your discretion. And this is where we're going to go back to the skew. I'm going to do reds all the way down. That's just only on the one side. The piece of wood is cut into thirds, so only on one side we're going to do the reds.
So how do you know how deep to go?
I don't.
That's what I thought.
Okay, no, here's what I'm watching the blade, of course. I want to make sure that I get it in the right place. But at the top, can you see the little V grooves? You right there? When you do any turning, you're looking at the top. You engage your blade, but you're looking at the top to see your progress. Is that
So
right?
you're looking past the object.
I'm looking right up there.
Yeah.
Keep the blade nice and stable, but what I usually do with any multi-axis project, you always kind of want to turn it off and inspect your work to make sure it looks like that's what you want it to look like. This is usually the hardest one to do, and then this one should be the next, next, and next. And these you want to kind of make sure they're not really too deep, but it doesn't matter. Even if you make a mistake with this, when you go to the final process of going down here, most of those mistakes will be erased. And I'll show you how that works when we get to it.
So they're all 4 cuts the same depth? Try to get them the same depth?
You could, but I usually try to get this one a little bit bigger. See how they're just a little bit?
Okay, so a little bit smaller.
This one's probably a little too deep,
Yeah.
and that one's just about right.
Okay, gradually smaller.
Just you graduate because
Yeah.
you're getting smaller here.
Yeah.
So you don't want to cut all the way through the wood, of course.
No,
Well, you can, doesn't matter, whatever.
they're making more.
It's a piece of scrap. You're going to make another one anyway. Okay, we did red, all the reds. Now we're going to do the green. Same thing again. There's my green dot. I'm going to mount my green dot fairly close. Put it on there. And if I did it right, I shouldn't have to move the tool rest. I don't always do it right, so. I always do it by hand first. That's that. Is that in the way?
Yeah, I'd like to get a better angle to it. Can we plug it in someplace else?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Where's the other out?
Over there.
It wouldn't reach over there.
It wouldn't reach? Oh. Hang on. I'm an electrical engineer.
Well, just plug it in right there. That'd be good. That'll
It
work.
won't reach, I can't.
Yeah,
Oh, I
this
can see
way.
you.
This
Oh,
way.
okay.
I got it. Good.
All right.
Is it on?
See if your lathe works. The light might be bad. Does the light come on?
Yeah, there we go. It's on. That's good.
Yeah, hold on for a minute. Let me get over here and see if I can.
We're gonna do green ones.
What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get the get a close up of the grooves. I'm just trying to show the grooves.
Well, I just moved
Yeah.
the thing on.
Yeah,
That's them right there.
yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to show the depth. Okay, good.
Okay. That's it?
I don't know how well you can see it, so.
We're good? Come on, Jay. Come on, Jay. You're our best guy. You gotta show people how to do this. All right, I usually start with a slow down again because I did change its rotational point. Make sure it's gonna stay where I put it. Around 1,000. Green ones we're doing this time. Now I told you guys I gave you a straight in first and then side to side. So I wasn't following my own directions because I'm kind of used to doing it. I just do the side to side. So I'll try and do this one correctly this time. I look up at the top. I can see how deep it looks. Looks pretty good. I'll go to the next one. Looks pretty good. Next one. Looks okay, and then the last one. Okay. Okay, that takes care of the green ones. When we take a look at them, they look pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm going to make the first one a little deeper. I kind of would like it to be a little bit wider. So I'm going to do the first one again.
Now, could you do this with another tool?
You could do it with your spindle gouge. I would say with the fingernail grind, but I actually have less trouble with the skew than I do with the gouge. The gouge is okay, but when you hold it like this, I guess it would do okay. But I'm not real sure if you wouldn't get more catches with this. But I have never used.
You're saying if you use the gouge, you go straight in, or would you roll?
I don't know. If you rolled, you're going to make a bead. So you can make
Oh,
a different
it's not going to
kind.
be straight. Yeah, it's not
It
going to
won't be straight. It'll be
Yeah.
more of a bead. What you
Yeah.
could do, it's your discretion. This is your Christmas tree. Do whatever you want to do with it. No, really. I have not done this particular project with a spindle gouge.
How about a point tool?
A point tool would work good. One of the, you mean the carbide things?
A carbide point tool, or they also make high-speed steel?
Yeah, the high-speed steel point tool would work fine. I think with the skew, you get a little bit less tear out.
Yeah.
You get more of a blade, more of a cut. As you can see, the edges are fairly smooth, except right here where I kind of caught the edge a little bit.
Okay.
That's just,
Yeah.
I've always just used a skew. Okay, we did greens and reds.
Hey, Scott?
Yes.
Can you tell by the sound how deep you're going?
Well, actually, with a skew, it's not going to let you go any deeper than that. See the bevel on both sides? Straight in, you're not going to be able to get any deeper than that.
And I'm just trying to figure out how your brain is telling you how deep to go.
I'm looking at the top.
But it's
It is spinning, but that's what you're looking at though. You can see it go by as air. I can see it go by. You saw it go by, didn't you?
well, not from here.
Well, okay, well, maybe he'll get a better picture of it. I'll do
Well,
the
plus,
black.
he's a man, so he's able to, you know. grasp
No. Don't blame me for that kind of stuff.
it. He's nudging me. He says, give him the shot. Give her the shot. You know I'm just kidding. You know that.
All right,
For the record.
Same thing here again. Just check to make sure that the little step center is fully engaged. That should work without adjusting the tool rest that much. Now I'm going to be I'm looking here to see what the blade is doing. I'm watching the blade, but as I cut it, I look up here. You can see that?
I can't from here.
It's doesn't come up on the monitor very well?
Well, not from this angle.
Oh,
You can
okay.
see it from your angle, but I can't get it. Let me try it.
Well, I'll let you come here. All right, it's going to be,
Oh, yeah, I can see now.
okay. About 1,000. Didn't fly off yet. Dave's my safety man. That a little better?
You were using the bottom there.
I use this.
You were using the bottom, right?
I use a toe.
Yeah, you were using the.
I always use the toe.
Oh, you were using this point? Okay, couldn't see it on the camera.
Well,
Sorry.
see how see the wood stuck to it?
Yeah, no, I believe it.
Good wood. Well, next time if we ever do a skew demonstration, I'll practice up and try to show you how to do beads and some other stuff with it. There's some stuff online. A guy turned with a skew for 40-some years. It is the best work I have ever seen. If I can duplicate that, you will all be amazed. Even if I can't duplicate it, you'll be amazed. Okay, now that's all you do. That's all the slashes. That part of the project is over. Any questions about what we just did?
Is there any order that you have to go in?
No, I just always do it the same way in case I do 5 or 6 at once. Then I can have like a little production line.
Okay, I mean, when you mark them down, you mark red, green, white.
I always do it the same way. You can use any color you want. Do it, I just mark them that way. Some people just do them all black and remember to do the third line if they want it in thirds. But I've seen their work and they usually forget, or one is spinning like that. So the Christmas tree comes out and there's 5 lines done over here, 2 lines done over here. And I look at them kind of funny. Well, I said they told me it's supposed to be alternating lines. But you can do whatever you want. I'm just showing you the way I do it. And then here's what it looks like on the bottom. The same thing we showed you before, right? Where you see where the 3 the different axes. You got the teeth marks from the tool.
Yep.
See that okay? All right. And that means it had a nice firm grip all the way around. And that's what you want to make sure that you do get is a nice firm grip on the piece of wood that's wobbling like that. If you're into multi-axis work, could be both ends wobbling. So you want to make sure you get a nice good grip, nice drive spurs, and of course a good live center. That completes that part. Now what happened to that little tree that I passed out to look around? And we'll go to the next phase. This, you take it home and paint it, or paint it here if you want to. And then when the paint's dry, you can do solid color, multicolor, whatever you want to do. Just put it aside. Remember, you had to have a tenon on there. Don't forget the tenon. Now this one we're going to mount it in this little chuck right here. This is Barracuda chuck. Make sure if you do cut a tenon, cut it appropriately to the chuck that you're using, please. I've noticed as a mentor that I've seen some bowls and things. Wasn't done right. Good way to lose your bowl. And I usually make sure that it's centered by using the point again. Good procedure, right?
Yep.
Production manager. And sometimes I mark these. I have a little spot on my chuck. It's got my name on it or something. And I try to line it up with a mark I put on here, but I forgot to do that, so
Why did you forget my name?
I'm out of luck, so. And I'd line it up with this, just to make sure it's gonna be centered, because I want it to turn nicely for you guys. Make sure it's in there. This is a little bit smaller tree, so I hope you can see it. I was gonna make a couple of bigger blanks, but I didn't get around to it. I got one of those. Okay, then we move this out of the way, of course. Well, actually, I can leave it there while I do the next part. And this part, I'm going to go back to just the regular spindle gouge and just going to run it down the length of the tree and get rid of the paint. Turn it down low, make sure it turns nicely. It may wobble a little bit. It dried out since I last turned it. Around 1,000. Take a look. And what I usually do.
Excellent.
Scott, could you have also done that with a scraper as opposed to?
Well, I use